Okay, this is the next part in our my homebrew video, all grain recipe. I've got the wort into the pot, 7 gallons worth, and I've got it on my propane burner running full blast, trying to bring it up to a boil. Bring it up to a boil, leave it there for 30 minutes, and then add the hops. That's what the recipe calls for. I think I should mention at this point that I'm doing this inside of a garage, which is usually a very bad idea because I could asphyxiate myself and die. But I've got a huge opening here to let air in. Unlike most garages, I have an exhaust fan, which is pulling all the fumes into the attic, where they will disappear harmlessly, or maybe, if I'm lucky, kill a few bugs on the way. Okay, at this point you can say we've achieved boiling. You're going to have to be a little bit careful, because it's easy to get boilovers when it first starts. You see all that foam? That foam has actually come out and over the into the floor before, so kind of regulate the heat until that kind of dissipates a little bit, so we can start our timer. Okay, I have a fairly rigorous boil now. You can see the foam is all the way on the corner here. It's not actually in fear of overflowing. I've got my watch set as a countdown timer. So 30 minutes have passed at 60 minutes. When they say it at 60 minutes, they really mean 60 minutes before the end. So I always use a countdown timer. But at 60 minutes, we're supposed to add the hops. This recipe calls for 1 ounce of Cascades and 1 ounce of Northern Brewery hops. And not a lot to it. You just pour them in there and hope it doesn't boil over. And that's it. Just as an interesting side note, this is our bathtub. It may not be the best idea to try to take the grains out of the MLT. I got 14 pounds of grain that I ran through the disposal, and for some reason they all ended up in the bathtub. So that's something I got to work on tomorrow, but it might be a better idea to just put it in a compost pile or in the trash. Okay, we're still boiling away. Looks like it's about 20 minutes left to the end of the boil. I'm going to go ahead and crank this up because I know it's going to stop boiling when I put the wort chiller in. And I don't want it to do that. I put this in. It helps to sanitize it. All that heat kills all the germs. Okay, we got about 12 minutes left. I'm going to go ahead and add the maltodextrin. It's supposed to give it a kind of a better mouthfeel. Not necessarily chewiness, but something like that anyway. I'll put that in, stir it up. Okay, the boil is just about done. Got a few seconds left to it. Boiling really hard. Got the wort chiller in there. I'm going to go ahead and shut this off. No more boiling. I'm going to plug in my wort chiller. And if it works right, it should be taking the water. Eventually it ought to make its way through that copper pipe and come out the other side. It takes a while to do that. It's 52 minutes to fill up. There it goes. That hot water's coming out, and I'm just going to let that go. Okay, got some Nottingham dry yeast. It has to soak for 15 minutes and 10 times its weight. I'm on grams here on my scale, so I'm going to add some distilled water until I get to about 110. That's too much. Need 110 grams of water so that I can properly hydrate my yeast. About so. It's basically, you put the water on there, and you kind of sprinkle it on top, let it settle for a while, 15 minutes I think, and then in 15 minutes I'll come back and stir it up a little bit. Meanwhile, back in the wort chiller world here, I'm trying to get this down to 80 degrees. It's still pretty hot. 157, so it's going to takes usually about 20 minutes to cool down, and since the groundwater here in Texas is not really that cold, I've got a bucket of ice. I'm going to add that to my reservoir of water that I'm feeding this wort chiller, and that should get the temperature down a little bit quicker. It's been about 20 minutes. I think the temperature is back below 80 degrees actually, so we're good to go. I'm going to take the wort chiller out And then I'm going to put it into my carboy and set the blow-up tube. First thing I'm going to do is add the rehydrated dry yeast, Nottingham Ale, the carboy. Okay, finally got everything in the fermenter. A little bit more than I was expecting. And I'm trying to get a gravity reading on it. Looks like it's going to be a lot higher than I thought it would be. It's at about 82. Yep, about 84 actually. A lot thicker than I thought it would be, but 84 it is. Okay, it's been in here for about 12 hours and it's starting to bubble up pretty good. You can see the foam going through the tube into the second carboy. The level here has gone down a little bit. All this foam here is going to be going up the tube so it doesn't make my beer taste bad. You can actually see the bubbles. I don't know if you can see it on here or not, but you can pretty much see bubbles coming up as it's fermenting. This stuff ferments really hard. But join me for the next section. I guess the next thing to do is just leave this here. It'll be about 4 or 5 days and then we'll bottle it up.